In today's session, we will talk about what a strong GS foundation can do for you, how the concepts are built, and how experienced expert faculties can help you with your preparation.
How to argue and answer questions which are generally asked in the main examination, which you might miss only by reading or focusing upon this particular textbook.
So economy has been always the UPSC's favorite, where the questions are ranging, except this year 11 questions were asked in 2014. You could see a good 14-15 questions to 29 questions they are asking.
Everything that happened on the surface of earth, and whatever happened changed the boundaries, changed the political scenarios. So most of the international disputes that you see are related to resources, are related to boundaries.
I always suggest PYQ, syllabus, one standard source, that's it. And then revision, and answer writing, and then test.
Every UPSC journey starts with one question. Where do I start? The books are endless, syllabus is vast, and everyone gives a different strategy. And all of this can become excruciatingly overwhelming, especially for a beginner. But what if I told you there's a way out? What if I told you that you can be clear since the very beginning? Hello everyone, my name is Rajni Jha. Welcome to Drishti IAS. In today's session, we will talk about what a strong GS foundation can do for you, how the concepts are built, and how experienced expert faculties can help you with your preparation. And to begin with, I have with me the faculties, the expert faculties who have more than 25 years of experience from Drishti IAS for especially four core subjects: polity, geography, history, and economy. To begin with, I'll start with polity, the subject that tells you how India actually works, how the Indian system actually works. And to talk about that, I have with me Dr. Ashutosh Jha, who has more than 14 years of experience, and there are so many students who have qualified under his guidance. Dr. Jha, please welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. So today we have just gathered so that we can actually ease the pressure of the preparation, and we should just chalk out a strategy that would help students gain access to the preparation and then ace the examination.
Definitely, sir. And I'll give it over to you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. So what we are going to do now is we have to just look at some of the basic concerns that the students have while they start the preparation. And then we are also going to see that how we could actually help them to tide over this entire journey. So if I just look at the trends of the questions that has been asked in the prelims examination from the section which is polity and governance. So it's basically a trend that we have just outlined for you so that you can just get a feel of that how important this subject has been over the years. So if you take an average of all of this, like UPSC never ask a pattern or never seek a pattern which is continuous. So UPSC would always change patterns. So even if I look at these changing patterns, definitely there are some years which has been not very rewarding as far as the subject is concerned, the discipline is concerned. But if you take an average, then we could say that on average, we usually get roughly 12 to 15 questions from this particular segment. So just to make it like easier for you to understand, I should just say that this section is one of the core area of the examination. That is, this is a core area, and if you are preparing for this examination, you can't miss this section either for your prelims preparation or your preparation for the main part of the examination. Because in the main part of the examination as well, this subject has a combined strength of, we can say, more than 100 marks in the paper 2 section that we usually write. Now, these are some of the core areas that we have designed that we'll be looking at first and foremost, that what is the importance of subjects in prelims and mains. Like if I'm talking about the subject of polity and governance, then how important this segment is if you're preparing for the pre and the main part of the examination. So as I told you, looking at the trend for the pre part of the examination itself, you would have realized that overall we usually end up getting not less than, on an average, 15 questions. There are some years in which it could actually move to an upper limit of 22, 23 questions as well, while it would also move towards a lower limit of 6 to 7 questions as well. But looking at the difference and taking an average out of it, we say that, in the pre part of the examination, it has got a very, very sound presence. That is almost 15 questions on an average. Similarly, if you look at the main part of the examination, in the main as well, if you end up writing questions which are asked from the polity and the governance section of the examination, if you add these two sections, you would realize that this is like constituent of a bulk section of the 250 marks which is asked in the second paper of general studies. So even in that segment, if you see, you will find that it is essential to prepare these segments. So as I said, that if I am just talking about the prelims part of the examination, on an average, we would end up getting not less than 15 questions. So I would say that on average we get roughly 15 questions in the, and this is like a very, very conservative estimate that I am taking. It could actually be 17 to 18 on an average. Similarly, for the main part of the examination, if you see, and if I see polity plus governance, then what is my expectation? So if I look at paper 2 general studies, and in paper 2 this is a very, very important constituent element together with international relations, and if I see a very, very general estimate, then I would say that it would constitute between 120 to 140. So if I take a very conservative estimate, then I would say that you are actually writing a portion which is roughly 130 marks. So it could actually be 150 as well sometimes. Sometimes it could be even 160, 170, but I'm just taking an average. So this much is something that you get from the polity and governance sections. This is the first part that I needed to explain. Now, the second question that we have is how and where to start our preparation, because this is a very, very significant question for anyone who would start his preparation or her preparation. So what is the area that we have to focus? So for anyone who may not have a previous background of studying these portions, like the portions for Indian polity or the governance sections, you have to keep in mind that the best resource that you have to refer to starts with NCERT. Okay. So NCERT is our go-to resource for any foundation building, for any conceptual building, for any student who may have just started the preparation. Now, there are people who may come from the background where they may have already read their NCERTs. So, good for them. But people who may be not from the background, specifically the social science background, and may not have done some of the NCERTs that are like prerequisite if we start beginning to prepare for this examination. So, what are the NCERTs that one has to refer to significantly? So, first and foremost, there is a class 11 NCERT which is by the title Indian Constitution at Work. Now, this is a very, very important textbook because this is a textbook which deals with all the basic ingredients of India's constitution. The philosophy, the making, as well as the organs of government. And when I say philosophy and making, it is about the constitution of India. So the philosophy of India's constitution, the entire process of making of India's constitution, the organs of the government. And when I say organs of the government, we can say legislature, the executive, judiciary. So what you get here in this particular textbook is a very basic knowledge which will build your base for moving this knowledge forward so that you can prepare for UPSC. So this base is like prerequisite. So what we do here is that we ask student to read this book. In Drishti, we also offer NCERT courses where we actually teach these NCERTs to the students so that they could be conceptually clear, when they come to the main classes. And even in the main classes, what we do is we start from the scratch so that these concepts are also taken care of. So if a student has to, like if he's joining our class from day one, so we also first build these concepts before we elevate our concept further. So that's like one very, very important and basic book. Then there is another book which is again a class 11 textbook, that is about political theory. Now this is a book which is not recommended for general studies precisely, but what you can do, you can actually look at some abstract political concepts from this textbook. So if I say the concept of justice, the concept of liberty, the concept of secularism, etc. Now, when you see the questions asked in the main examination, sometimes there are so many questions which are actually asked from a very theoretical standing, where you need to understand these abstract ideas also. So, people who are going to opt for optionals with regards to political science, this is a very essential book. But even if you're not opting for it, you should just look at this book and try to understand all the basic abstract political theories which are mentioned in that particular textbook. That is again class 11 textbook. Then we have a class 12 textbook, which is again very, very important, especially if you have to look at certain important sections in international relations. So for international relations, what you need is a textbook with the title, which is Contemporary World Politics. So this will actually give you the basic concept of understanding so many important issues in international relations, because this is a book which deals with Cold War. This is a book which deals with the issues of alternative centers of power. This is a book which deals with international organization. Okay, so you will be actually understanding so many important international relations concept, which will be very crucial for you in the preparation of this part of the examination that deals with questions or issues concerning polity, international relations, governance, or rather we can say that for paper 2 this is a very, very essential list that you should first focus on. Section would be that once we have done our NCERT, what we do now is we just move to some basic textbooks. So there is a fundamental thing that we say in our classroom programs, that the Drishti booklet is a very, very important source for your preparation when you start the classroom program in the foundation courses. And then with this, we can add up to some basic reference book. Now for polity, I would say that there is a very popular book which is by M. Lakshmikant, but there is a caveat. With this book, it's actually very good for PT. But if you have to write mains, then the reading of these texts is like this is not adequate. So now what we need to do is we need to move to the classroom program, because classroom program will actually be a program which will give you the details of how to argue and answer questions which are generally asked in the main examination, which you might miss only by reading or focusing upon this particular textbook. So this is a very important textbook together with the NCERT textbook that builds your base, and then you add up one reference book, and then the most important source for you is your class notes. Our USP in the foundation program is that we cover every topic in great depth and detail. So, whatever may be the gaps that you might come up with, the reading of any of these reference text or the text that we have just referred, our NCERT text, which are important building blocks, no doubt. But those would not be enough to ace the examination. And that is why our classes would be like prerequisite essential, because with the classes, you would have sufficient ammunition to actually ace the examination, because then what we do here is we actually prepare you in each and every topic, so that not only for the pre part of the examination, you are even prepared to analyze, to make your answers, an outstanding answer relative to the other answers by our classroom class, programs. So that's why I would say that you have to read A, the basic sources, B, you have to refer to the reference book, and then C, one of the most essential go-to material is your class notes, and whatever class notes is basically providing you in terms of your ammunitions for the examination together with the booklet, this will be enough to ace the examination in this particular part. So I would say that this is what should be the modus operandi that one should actually follow. Okay, so how do we start our preparations and where do we end our preparation? I think I have talked about this, that we have to start our preparations with NCERT. The next step is, after reading of the NCERT, you have to now focus on the basic book plus the Drishti booklet. So you don't have to read so many things, and your final most important source is your class notes. So you have to focus on class notes. That is where there is so much of detailing which will complete your overall preparations. Okay. So I would say that what are the other sources we can refer to? So there are some governmental portals that you can refer to together with these particular basic sources. For example, if I have to focus upon some governmental portals, so what portal should I refer to? So Press Information Bureau, very popularly called PIB. It's a great source. You will be so much benefited by referring to these sources for your overall preparations. If you are just referring to the Ministry of External Affairs portal, it has truckload of information for helping you ace the examination. You're just referring to ICWA portal, Indian Council of World Affairs. I mean, these are more than enough as far as the governmental sources and portals references are concerned. So what does a teacher do? The teacher actually takes up all these, looks up these sources, looks up newspaper article, so that he can also just bring down in his note, in his class lectures, every detail which is contemporary. And then when you finish your classes, you are finished with all the contemporary plus traditional details, so that if a question is asked from any sort of types of questions, you are able to answer it. So this is the methodology we would always follow in the examination, in the foundation courses. And the methodology is simple. We start from scratch, the basics, and then we move up to the advanced learning, and then we also just do all the value additions which are basically emerging out of the contemporary events and contemporary issues. So that's the methodology we follow, and we have been mentoring students with this methodology with a very good and a great amount of success as well.
So it was truly such an enlightening strategy and valuable session, but I have a few questions before we proceed. First, for a beginner, polity can come across as a very vast and technical subject. So how do you make sure that they understand these concepts that you've talked about rather than simply memorizing everything?
Yeah, so rote learning won't help you, much in this examination, because if you just engage into rote learning, then you might miss the trick in the examination. Because look at the questions that the UPSC asks, they never appreciate rote learning overall. So I would say that conceptual clarity is a must, and in the classroom program we focus more on conceptual clarity. So that I'm not saying that you don't have to memorize, you will need to memorize, because this is an examination where ultimately what counts is how much of intake you have in your memory, and how is your memory responding, how much of these subjects has been internalized. So that's very essential. But yes, rote learning, I would never suggest that this is where rote learning should be a prominent area. And that is what we actually ensure through our teaching process, because we focus more on clarity. That is why we give so many case studies, we give students so many judgments, and how they can understand any articles and the provisions through the point of view of the judiciary. so that they are understanding it more or less like a a source that is derived from the judicial verdict. So it makes the learning easier as well. So once you refer to a particular article, for example, you are referring to Article 21. So 21 may have so many different interpretations that might come from the judiciary. So merely if I ask somebody to just memorize that what are the different dimensions of 21, he would find it difficult. But if he's knowing these cases, court cases, then he would know pinpointedly that which dimension of 21 is explained explicitly by the judicial verdict from a particular case point of view. So we make this interesting so that students have to not memorize much, they need to have conceptual clarity, and then yes, they have to revise it many times so that whatever is taught to them, they are able to internalize it.
Definitely. And so I just have one more question before we end this strategy session for polity, and that is what a student can expect when that person, the student, he or she enters your classroom.
She can expect that when you are entering in our classroom, we are going to have like 100% completion of the syllabus.
Definitely.
We are not going to leave anything untouched. Everything that needed to be discussed from the perspective of the pre and main of the examination, because you are joining a foundation course. So we try to make it very amply clear by discussing threadbare each aspect of the exam for all the provisions that we discuss in the polity classes. Thirdly, I would say that we have the test and assessment as well, so that we would actually know that what we are providing to the student, is it actually reaching them or not? Like dissemination part, is it like stopping somewhere? Every student, are they having same kind of problem? So that we can again come back and refer to those points. Plus, we also provide them so much of mentoring. So even after classes, if the students want to approach us and if they want to ask anything concerning the subjects taught, the topics taught, we actually help them. So it's not as if that we are doing this work merely as if that we have come, we stand, we deliver our lecture, we go away. So we actually take care of students even after the lectures are over. So I would say that they can expect that we are going to holistically complete the syllabus. We are going to ensure that not only that they have joined our course so that they'll finish the course, they'll also understand the course. So it's not as if that you're just going to complete this syllabus in a particular deadline. So sometimes I may be asked to complete my polity in 50 classes. But if I see that the class is not coping with these 50 classes, the institution allows me to extend my classes to 52 to 53 as well. That's never a problem, because ultimately when we finish something, the larger purpose of ending our course is that once the course is over, the student could come to us and say that now they are quite comfortable in handling questions which has been asked in the UPSC, both in the pre and main part of the examination. Now that is what our satisfaction is. And unless we are not meeting that kind of an objective, we try to push ourselves as well. So we constantly try to know what the students are actually getting from our classes. We encourage students to ask questions every day. So mostly if you see, because there are so many contemporary political events that take place, and students will have like list of questions. Every day I'll get at 7-8 slips every day on my table. So before I class, I have to answer all these questions which comes in the slip form. So we encourage this constant dialogue between us, so that when the syllabus is completed, it is very holistically completed.
Right. That's absolutely great. Thank you so much for taking out the time to guide us all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So as you can see that if you enter sir's classroom, you may enter as a beginner, but you will exit as an advanced, confident UPSC aspirant. But what happens if you can't come to the classroom? Because obviously everybody cannot relocate, everybody cannot come to the classroom. So if you cannot bring yourself to the classroom, we bring the classroom to you with our online courses. As you can see, we have our ISGS foundation course in English medium, which will be live from Karol Bagh classroom. There will be around 400 plus structured classes. You will get printed notes. You will get 5 mains capsule series books, 7 prelims practice series books, and we'll talk about them in detail as well. Apart from that, there are 2 very important features that I would love to talk about, which is first is Asmita scheme. So this is a scheme where we provide free residential and mentorship support to the students of ISGS Foundation course specifically, whether you are an offline student, online student, or a pen drive. If you have bought a pen drive course, you will get this Asmita scheme where you get free residential and mentorship support after you clear your prelims. And at the same time, we also have AI support, and I will talk about this as well. So we know that this is a world of AI, right? AI makes everything A, interesting, B, easy, and C, clear. So we have equipped this course with AI powered learning, where you can simply go to the lecture and use this feature to get the summary of the lecture, to get the quizzes where you can practice what you have learned. And at the same time, you can also use this AI provides you with timestamps. So you can also use specific timestamps to study specific topics. Then there is another feature in this, which is Ask Me Anything, where you can ask the AI any specific topic if you want to learn more about it. Maybe you were not able to understand, or if you're not able to, there's something new that comes up in the newspaper every day, like Sir told us. So if you want to talk about it, if you want to learn about it, you can simply ask that from that AI powered learning. And we will talk about this some more in some time. But before that, as we have just talked about polity, and polity is just one part of the entire course that we are going to talk about in today's session, the next we will talk about economy, the subject that connects us to the world around us. So as you can see, we have our ISGS Foundation course live from Karol Bagh classroom. This is our classroom foundation course, which will be provided to you online as well. And in this class, you will find 400 plus structured classes, module or subject wise printed notes. There are prelims and mains capsule series and evaluation of more than 500 mains questions. At the same time, we have a very peculiar feature, which is Asmita scheme, where we provide free residential and mentorship support to all our GS Foundation course students. Whether you are offline student, online student, or you have availed the pen drive course, you will be getting this Asmita scheme once you clear your prelims exam. At the same time, we have also incorporated AI powered learning. So we know that the world is increasingly becoming AI dependent. AI makes everything, well, clearer. It makes it clearer, easier, crisper, everything. So we have included that as well in our course, where you can avail this and you can use it to get the summary of the classroom, whatever lecture is there. Then you can also use the timestamps provided in this AI learning feature, and you can simply go to a lecture and go to the part that you want to study. Apart from that, you'll also get questions in the quiz form in this feature itself. And there is another feature in this, which is Ask Me Anything, where you can ask any subject related question from this AI powered learning, which you must have studied maybe in the newspaper. And we'll talk about this more, but before that, let me tell you, right now we have flat 50% sale going on if you buy this course until 16th of August. And this batch starts on 26th of August. So keep that in mind and join us. But we'll talk about this in a while. But before that, we talked about polity. And now, polity is just one part of the entire picture that I'm trying to paint. Now we will talk about another subject, which is economy, the subject that connects us directly to our outside world. So, why does government borrow money? Where does all the money go? What is inflation and why does it happen? Why does money fall? There are so many different questions that are related to us, and that is a part of Indian economy. And if you want to have a clearer understanding of these concepts, you must have an expert faculty with you. Having a clearer, deeper understanding on these concepts can make this subject, Indian economy, from difficult to a scoring one. And for that, to make all of this easier and crisper, I welcome Dr. Sanjay Monga with us. He is one of the most esteemed faculties, expert faculties in Drishti IAS, and he has more than 40 years of experience. So please welcome on the stage.
Thank you so much. Welcome you all.
So sir, what
let's
are we trying to understand in this concept? What would you be telling us? The strategy?
I think we should cover the importance, significance, the strategy for preparation, and the challenges that students face in the subject. I think we should cover all these points.
Definitely, sir. The stage is all yours.
Thank you so much. So let's start with this trend chart. This is the first point which will make you understand the significance of the subject. The prelim stage is the most difficult stage in UPSC preparation because lakhs of students are filtered at this particular point, and then you have people in thousands who are eliminated from every other stage, like the mains exam stage and the interview stage. So if you want to assure your positive result, then the first step is to clear the preliminary exam by hook or by crook. So here you would like to put your focus on important subjects, and if you see the number of questions, there are total 100 questions, as you all know, and there are so many subjects. So economy has been always the UPSC's favorite, where the questions are ranging, except this year 11 questions were asked in 2014. You could see a good 14, 15 questions to 29 questions they are asking. And if you see the latest trend, it's been between 15 to 20. So if you are having some 16 questions this year on economy, and there are total 100 questions, so the weightage is 16%. And not only this, if you go to current affairs, you find many questions asked from the economy domain, because you have separate questions on current affairs. This is pure economy, which is the static part of economy. Then on dynamic part, you have club questions also. You may have a club of 2 subjects or 3 subjects in a single question. So there are many other questions which are covered up in the economy. So you can make it 20 to 25 questions. So our discussion today should be the importance, and then we have the preparation strategy. And one important thing that students ask is how to study, which book to study. So these are the 3 dimensions that I would like to cover. So for this prelims exam, I have just told you that not only for the direct questions on economy, you have questions in current affairs which require decent knowledge of economy. In mains exam, it's covered in GS3, as you all know. So there are 4 papers in GS, and in third paper you have subjects like disaster management, science and technology, and you have environment and economy. So there are 20 questions from every GS paper, and you'll be delighted to know that minimum 7 to 8 questions come from economy. So again, the weightage here is almost 40% to 50%. Sometimes even 10 questions have been asked just from economy. Another thing is that most of the students who have done humanities or commerce, they have done economy in their school time little bit. But science students find this subject to be kind of alien subject. But fortunately, the type of questions that they are asking in examination, particularly mains examination, they are from again current affairs. So if you are preparing for mains examination, in GS3 you can score very well. In GS4 you can score very well. In GS1 and 2 you have that limitation that those subjects relate to history, polity and geography. And sometimes people who have done history honors or geography honors, they have an edge on those domains. But in GS3 and GS4 paper, it's a level playing field, so everybody can perform good. So if you want to perform good in mains exam, you should be very strong with your optional subject, which will help you in interview and mains both. And moreover, in 2 GS subjects out of the 4, you must be strong in mains. So having an edge in economy will help you in scoring good in GS3 paper. Out of 20 questions, 8 to 10 questions can be asked. So this is the first part which we have understood, importance of the subject at all the 3 stages. And when you see newspaper, mostly you have a separate page on business and economy in every good newspaper. The first page has some good news about the RBI, the ministry, and everybody. Even a rickshawala is interested in knowing budget related things and how cheaper is to buy some goods and services. Everybody has a cost of living which they want to see how it is good in budget. So these are the things which will be covered in this paper number 3, and GS has good significance for economy. Now the next question that students start is how and where to start the preparation. So we get all types of students who are coming right in the first year. So they have all the graduation 3 years to cover up, and we have students who have graduated already and they join us. So it's a foundation course where we start from the scratch. In economy also we start from the basics. So in our classroom we start from 9th class, 10th class topics. We give 1 or 2 lectures, so there is a content to study, there are questions to solve. So there will be a brochure for those who have done those topics, and it would be a good introduction for those who have never done economics. So revisiting those topics is also a fun, but if you are a new guy, this is a basic necessity that you must start with some fundamentals done in 9th and 10th class. So we have NCERT notes, we have Drishti economy book where we give you some chapters to read. So all the basics from the school level economics are given in first 4-5 lectures, generally you can say a one week program is there to help those students who are non-economic background students come to the mainstream economy. After 1 week, you have, you are parallel with the other people who have done basics. So this is how you will start. You'll start with basics, and then you will get to jump into the UPSC syllabus, and you will take the core topics one by one. NCERT is a good way to start, and generally, 9th, 10th social sciences books have some chapters on economy, and in 11th you have a decent book from NCERT, which is Indian Economic Development. So if you want to read that book before you come to class, it's good. It tells you about India, it tells you about the various aspects of Indian economy. You have some kind of merger with geography also, like the agriculture industry is covered in geography and economy both. You have a subject like economic geography also, which people study. So this is how you will start your preparation first week, and then we have UPSC syllabus. In the first session, we discuss the whole syllabus one by one. We blast it into sections, then chapters, and by the end of the first session, people have a clear-cut roadmap to the subject. At least they are clear which way to go. After that, you have some sources to study. It would be online sources, offline courses. Like I have covered NCERT books here, but don't do micro and macroeconomics books, which are quite technical in nature. And UPSC is not bothered about asking questions on core economics. They ask about Indian economy, the issues that we face, their solution, government policies. So that is why it is good to study from the government sources. The best would be going to the RBI site and Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation sites on some regular basis, like weekly or bi-weekly, even monthly. If you go, you can find some new press releases, some notifications which will update you on these topics. If you are having an eye on the newspapers or current affairs, you have the topics being covered up, and in detail you can study from Reserve Bank of India website, and there is a ministry which is called Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. There you have all the reports by this ministry about economy. The summary of these reports you can get on PIB website also. So if you want very crisp notes, you want to read less, PIB website would help you a lot. This is another thing. I recommend my students to read India Yearbook. So it's a annual book which is released by publication wing of Government of India. It contains all these subjects. You have history of India, you have geography of India, polity of India, and there are a lot of chapters of economy of India. It will make you very strong with the core topics of Indian economy and India as such. So these are the main sources. Apart from that, we provide you a lot of classroom notes, classroom discussions, and I share some kind of online PDFs where I cover the reports from ministries. At the end, when the session ends and you have prepared the whole subject, it may take 1.5 years time. I recommend before you go to exam, suppose you have, I'm assuming you have exam in 2028 if you are joining or planning now. So you must visit indiabudget.gov.in site and read the budget, Union Budget of India, and there is one survey which is called economic survey. So this would be your last thing to read apart from class notes and the notes we prepare in homework. I give you some questions to prepare. If you study economic survey, it will give you a summary of what the government of India has done, how economy has performed in the last year. So if you have exam in 28, economic survey of 28 released on 1st February will give you all the data, all the internal reports of different ministries in just one single book. We don't have this type of privilege in other subjects. It's only in economy that government releases a survey. So this would be your last book to study, and then from February, after you read this, you can do a lot of question practice. You have test series from Drishti, a lot of exercise questions, and last 3-4 months you should spend only on practice. In preliminary you should do MCQ practice, and then after that you do practice for the mains. So this is how we complete. I think this is enough as an opening. So over to you. Thank you so much.
Sir, please. Economy as a subject, I've seen that it is quite challenging for the beginners. They are usually scared of the subject. So, how do you make sure that they're not scared anymore once they attend your classes?
See, when they have not studied in any subject, how they make an image. I mean, you have a difficult subject or easy subject will be decided after some classes. I think after 3 or 4 classes, students change their opinion about the subject. It's how it is served to the students. There are many students who are non-economy background students. They come and they tell me in the first day, second day, sir, we fear, we have a kind of hatred for this subject. When we study alone, we don't understand anything like monetary policy, fiscal policy, taxation policy, hard. Even Newton has said that I could understand everything, but taxation system I never understood. When you take the class after 2 3 days, the same student who says I have fear, he asked me or she asked me, sir, can I take optional as economy? So this is how we change.
So, you're trying to say that until they have studied with you in your classes, they'll be scared. They might be scared because of the narrative that goes on in the market.
It's not that my class, if they take class from any person who I love this subject. I mean, I have been teaching this subject for so many years now. I know each and every inch and millimeter of the subject. So I want to make it very easy so that it is understandable to anyone. I mean, I don't see that you are a doctor or engineer or a humanities student or commerce student. I try to make it very simple and crispy. And I think students like it because so many students have asked me who had a fear, but now they want to take it as even an option.
Fair enough. And sir, what about current affairs? I've heard that economy as a subject is very current affairs heavy.
Yes.
So how do we go about it? And how do we prepare for that in the classroom itself?
If we cover the entire economy in 2 months, so the past things we can cover. But when classes are over, students are capable to handle and understand 99% of the news that they gather from any source. Like Drishti is giving a lot of content on economy on daily basis. You can ask my students of the earlier batches whether they understand or not. So they understand, if not 100%, 98%, 99% of that content. So I think after classes, if you do current affair, it's not a hassle.
So once you have the basic understanding of the concept, you can easily understand current affairs as well on your own.
Absolutely. And the sources would be PIB and Drishti app and all these things.
That is great. Thank you so much, sir, for taking our time for ourselves and
Thank you.
for all of us.
It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. So as sir told us, current affairs is extremely important, but once you have the basic understanding of the concepts, you can understand current affairs yourself. And in this course of IAS Foundation, as you can see, we have ensured that you have enough current affairs material. So you have current affairs classes for 3 years. You also get current affairs magazines home delivered for 3 years. You'll get weekend current affairs classes, current affairs crash course for both prelims and mains. Of course, once you qualify prelims, you'll be getting for mains as well. Apart from that, you also, if you enroll in this course, you'll also get mentorship program in which you will get UPSC mentorship program if you enroll in this course. And apart from that, you'll also get complimentary library access. And there's one more very interesting feature that I will talk about in a minute. But before that, as I've already told you, we have flat 50% sale going on right now. If you enroll in this course before 16th of August, even on 16th of August, this will be applicable. All right. So now we have talked about economy, the subject that tells you about the forces that shape India today. But in order to understand India, you also need to understand the land on which everything unfolds. And for that, we need to talk about geography. In UPSC, geography is not just about maps. It is about why things happen, where they happen, from climate and agriculture, from climate and resources, agriculture, industries, and even population pattern. Everything you need to understand why they happen, where they happen. So, how do you master geography? In order to do that, I have with me one of the finest faculty members, Mr. Rohit Wazir, who has more than 15 years of experience. Sir, please come. So, what are we going to talk about in this session?
First of all, thank you, ma'am, for inviting me. We'll be looking at some trends of UPSC exams related to geography, like, for example, how many questions have been asked in the past. Besides that, we'll be also looking at the strategy that students should follow, and more importantly, how do we deal that in the class, and the basic study material that a student needs to look at.
Great, please continue.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. So here we can see some of the trends of UPSC exams, the number of questions that have been asked in geography. So we can see a little bit fluctuations here. There were years when number of questions were like 20 in 2014, and the highest number of questions in geography that were asked so far was in 2024. You can see around 21 questions asked from geography. Yes, there have been years where the number of questions were less. There were 3 to 4 questions asked in geography. But that does not mean that geography is significant only in the prelims examination. See, when we look at the geographical aspect, as it has been already pointed out to you, the land on which we live, and it plays a very significant role in shaping up economy and other subjects as well. So, when we look at this entire aspects of UPSC preparation, so there is a notion that, a general notion, that the preparation is more about memorizing facts and remembering a lot of information. Yes, I do not deny this fact. It is true that we need a lot of information, but what do you do with that information matters the most. As in, how do you relate your facts in the contemporary scenarios? How do you interrelate subjects? That is where we need to focus upon in our preparation. So geography plays a very significant role in providing that interrelations with other subjects as well. Like suppose if UPSC examination is concerned, the syllabus is concerned, the syllabus mentions largely about the world geography, it's the physical phenomena that we study in GS paper 1. But then when you see GS paper 3, there are topics like cropping pattern, the topics like the agricultural revolutions, there are topics of economic ecology and environment and disaster management. All that has a geographical angle to it. Say for example, when you understand climate, you understand soils, you will be able to understand thoroughly, you will be able to getting a better understanding in terms of cropping pattern, how cropping patterns can be studied. Besides that, most of the disasters that are taking place across the world are because of man nature imbalance that is taking place, and geography tells you about what is about man nature relationship. So to in order to go through this, we have to understand the syllabus. As we mentioned, it is very essential to understand the nature of the exam and nature of the syllabus. Then, so far as the preparation is concerned, how to begin the preparation? This is a very, very fundamental question that a lot of people ask, how to begin the preparation. So I keep it very simple. See, you have to begin the preparation. First of all, let us be convinced that we are preparing for this exam. Number one. Number two, let's take the basic books. Let's talk about the very basic books. And the basic book is NCERT. Yes, when we come to UPSC preparation, again, we have a thought that maybe the exam is too tough. There's a lot of information required. Will NCERTs be enough for the entire exam or not? I keep hearing this question multiple times. But my question, counter question is always this. Have you gone through NCERTs? Because if you go through NCERTs, particularly 11th and 12th standard of NCERTs, that means you know the subject. That means you know the geography. So where to start with? I would rather recommend to the students to go for 6th, 7th and 8th NCERT. Now which 6th, 7th, 8th NCERTs are important? Old ones, bold and clear, old NCERTs. Those NCERTs which were in circulation in 1990s in school curriculum. There were NCERTs after that also which were there in 2000s. We prefer this NCERT, which is old NCERT. In 6th standard, for example, you get this very basic definitions of latitudes, longitudes, what are mountains, what are valleys, what are bays, what are gulfs. So, which is important to understand the subject as we go towards the advanced level. At the same time, it exposes you to the maps. Like there's a map, the entire continent of Africa is discussed in a very, very fundamental way. then South America, then Antarctica. Then as you go towards 7th standard, again the map is there. For example, there's a discussion on North America and Europe, which is very essential. Then there is about 8th standard NCERT. It is largely about Asia. Having gone through these three NCERTs thoroughly, and when I say gone through NCERTs, reading lines and reading between the lines, understanding the concept in a most simple manner. Then the next stage, next step is going to be 11th and 12th standard NCERT. 11th and 12th standard NCERT. Now students have this confusion whether to go for old NCERT or new NCERT. I would again prefer old NCERT in 11th and 12th as well. And if you want to read new ones, it's okay. You can go through the new NCERTs also. And a lot of people ask, what is the difference between new NCERTs and old NCERT? It's something like the language. Old NCERTs have an excellent language. So those who want to improve their writing skills, particularly in the subject of geography, old NCERT will be really helpful. Go through these, read line by line, read between the lines, take down maps, take down diagrams. These are very essential. For example, I'll just take one more minute here. Questions that were asked in 2024, when we had the maximum number of questions asked, they were mainly from physical geography. And we can answer most of these by having a very good understanding of the subject, of the NCERTs, like isobar bending, or temperature differences, contrast, or questions that were asked about the geomorphology. All of these can be answered if we go through these NCERT thoroughly. Besides this, there is one more book which is quite popular among students, G.C. Leong, Certificate of Physical and Human Geography by G.C. Leong, which is quite popular. A lot of people ask us whether we should go for G.C. Leong or not. Of course, it's an excellent book, very good book, no doubt. But my suggestion will always be slightly different. Do not start your preparation with G.C. Leong. Do not start with this. The reason is, G.C. Leong is at certain level. It will tell you about the concept, but maybe not explain it at a very fundamental, in a very fundamental way. So the preparation should go like this. You complete your NCERTs, go through your 11th and 12th NCERTs, and then for the upgradation, you can go through this book. But remember, side by side, you should also have Atlas with you. Now, one of my senior told me this, that studying geography without Atlas is a doctor without stethoscope. You know, but you can't really see that. You can't really feel that. So to feel the geography, to see the geography where physical phenomena occur and what is their outcome, you need to have a good command over NCERT and the Atlas work. One more point, Atlas work is not just about geography. It is about understanding international relations. It is about understanding world history. Everything that happened on the surface of Earth. And whatever happened changed the boundaries, changed the political scenarios. So most of the international disputes that you see are related to resources, are related to boundaries. So you can understand them better once you are very good with the map work. So what we need to do is spend some 10 to 15 minutes per day with the Atlas work. Now, what to do these 10-15 minutes? What should we do in these 10-15 minutes? Just do not worry. If you've gone through this and you've gone through all these basic books, just observe. Observe. Let's suppose we take an example of some continent. Let's say Africa or North America or any continent. Just look at the fold mountains or mountain ranges today. Tomorrow also look at the mountain ranges today of the continent. Next day, spend some 10-15 minutes to look at the rivers. Next, just go through 10-15 minutes to look at the deserts. Then next 10-15 minutes, look at some physical features. So spend 1 week with one continent. Don't just run through that. There is no shortcut to memorize, no mnemonics, no tricks to memorize all of this. and trust your memory. Your mind can memorize a lot of things only when you look at them repeatedly. So spend 1 week with one continent, and even then you will be covering maps thoroughly well before your preparations, and then apply those concepts of physical geography on the map. It will give you a different insight in the subject altogether. That is what we always suggest to students for the classes. So mains as well as prelims preparation can be very well done with this. And yes, you must be following current affairs. The street is providing you current affairs material and so on, and the magazine. You should also note down these geographical phenomena, environment ecology aspects, and disaster related concepts or informations, and make a separate collection of these informations. That should be enough to crack this exam, and that should be good enough to feel comfort level in the subject. So on that front, I think we can continue with other subjects.
So that was incredibly insightful. I have a couple of questions though. The first question is, how can a UPSC aspirant who comes to your classroom can really build the concepts that this examination requires?
See, ma'am, we try to give them insights through very basic concepts. Like when we start the class, we start with them. We start with very basic topics like what is latitude, what is longitude, etc., and then take on to the levels like advanced level. For example, El Nino happening this year, or monsoonal behavior, or something like that, so that they feel connected to the topic. And how do we feel connected? There is one thing that we study in academics, and then we observe these things happening in surroundings around us. So what happens in the books or in the classes, and then we try to integrate that in what is happening around. So that way integrated preparation can be done.
Right. So what I'm understanding from this is it's not just about academics, it's not just about the textbooks, it's also about what's happening around us. So we have to equip ourselves with the concept that we study in the book, and then what is happening around us, we have to integrate both of them. But that raises another question. How do we divide the time? For example, students usually feel that they don't have enough time. So how do they divide this time between maps, whatever they've studied in the academic books, and what is happening around them, the current affairs?
That's true. If a student feels that they don't have a time, this is a very important point. If students feel that they don't have enough time, that means they are quite serious. They're doing it very well. So good if student doesn't feel like he feels that I'm short of time or so. It's good. But then how do we help them? We often tell them the topic that is going to be discussed tomorrow, and we ask them to come prepared with that topic. So the first reading is done by them. Second reading or second level is taken by us. We will elaborate those concepts in the classroom. Then we ask them to pause and ponder over it. Wait, read that again, think over it, and go back home, study the same topic, and look at your previous year questions, which is quite important. And then see if the same topic has happened or same concept is applied in the current affairs in the recent past or something like that. In that way, student feels more connected, and there are 2-3 times that the student goes through a concept within a day. So that way that helps them to save their time and memorize it better.
That's great. Thank you so much, sir, for such
Thank
a
you.
valuable lesson.
Thank you.
And I'm sure our students and aspirants have learned quite a few things in this session. Now, the important and interesting part that I was talking about our ISGS Foundation course, and that is self-paced learning. So what is self-paced learning? In this program, if you've enrolled yourself, you'll get self-paced learning option as well, in which, let's say right now polity sessions are going on, but you want to understand and study other subjects also because maybe you have an exam coming up. In that case, you can request for recorded lectures of those particular subjects, and you'll get those subjects, the recorded ones and also the live ones when the classes will go on. So isn't that interesting? Moving on, so far we have tried to understand India through various subjects. But if you truly want to understand India, you need to understand what India was few years back or what India was in the past. What were the events and movement that shaped India what it is today? So that comes to our next subject, which is history. In history, you don't just mug up the facts, you don't just mug up the events, you don't just mug up the dates. You actually understand the entire journey that has shaped India what it is today, especially for UPSC. And for that, I have with me one of the most esteemed faculties of GS for UPSC, that is Mr. Tauqeer Zafar, who has 14 years of experience in guiding and mentoring UPSC aspirants. So please come.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, sir. So, what are we going to talk about in this session?
Today we'll be discussing how to prepare history for general studies foundation course, and I'll be discussing what are the important challenges that the student face while selecting the source and how to prepare it. And because see, the problem is that the student always think about history that it is mugging or cramming of the facts of the past that has happened. But for me, history is the most beautiful way to understand what is India today. And it is not just the study of the past, it is a method to understand what is there in the present.
Definitely, sir. Please continue.
So, the first thing is role of subject in prelims and mains. I would like to tell you history. See, to study history, it should not be prepared separately for prelims and separately for mains. It should be an integral preparation, integrated preparation, integrated preparation. Preparation. It should not be separately prepared. That means you prepare the subject, you prepare the topic, any topic. For example, the topic is imperialism and colonialism. Then understand it conceptually. Understand it conceptually. Then important themes of that topic. Themes of that topic. And then comes the relevant questions, that is PYQ, that is previous year's paper, and model questions. Model questions. So history for prelims is more factual, but they ask conceptual question also. They ask about sites, they ask about culture, they ask about Jainism, Buddhism. They ask about, the focus is more on the cultural developments that has taken place in India. In history, they don't focus more on political history, military history. They focus on economic aspects, especially in the case of ancient and medieval. So the focus is not the, because see, the history is written through the different schools of historiography. And now the historiography is shifting towards socio-cultural history, economic history. Earlier in those days, it was military and political. So nowadays, they ask you about the social, cultural, economic history more. So in this case, what is my objective is to make you understand that this preparation should be done through separately through prelims and mains. It should not be the objective of the student. The objective is integral preparation of these. So when we understand any topic, say it is revolt of 1857 or First World War or Indian National Congress, for example, 1885, the moderates politics, the extremist politics, Swadeshi movement. So we prepare it for both prelims and mains. At the same time, we get to understand the nature of the question. That is also very essential. That what is the nature of the question. So understanding it conceptually, understanding the important themes of the topic, and this is prepared from PYQs, previous year's questions. Generally people understand that history is very boring, it is all remembering about dates and years and figures and facts, but in general history is all about understanding the past events, understanding the historiography, which is relevant for the mains exam. In prelims, it is more conceptual and event based. Event based means, for example, some sites are there. For example, if there is a site called as Khajuraho and it was in the news, for example, or if they ask you a question on temple architecture, you should know. For example, if there are questions on Jyotirling, there are 12 Jyotirlings in India. So you should know what is the importance of Jyotirling, what are the important temples that are located in the different sites of India, and how it is relevant for your exam. See, if you integrally prepare the topic, you can solve your PT as well as your mains. Let us take the next question, understanding the syllabus and exam demand. See, the key to understand this is what basically, first of all, understanding the syllabus. First thing the student should do in the light of PYQ, previous year's paper. And when I say PYQ, you should, especially in history, you should go back from 1995 to 2026. I consider from 1979. I have seen the question from 1979 to 2026. The second is reorganizing the syllabus. Organizing the syllabus in reorganizing the syllabus in the light of PYQ. Matlab, we should follow reverse engineering. Reverse engineering, which is very, very important. Generally, people, they don't even see what I have said, because I keep on interacting with the student. I've seen that the students not even see the previous year's paper, not even 1 or 2 years paper. So the core objective, for example, if I have to prepare, I will see the previous year's paper first along with the syllabus, and it should be assimilated into your blood. And then I'll go for understanding concepts. Understanding concepts through standard books, standard source. Understanding the concept through standard source. It must be a book, it must be a book of a famous scholar, or it should be NCERT, for example, but NCERT should be used to understand the concept. See, NCERT is not made for UPSC, we use it for UPSC. This is a very important thing that we need to, because I have seen student reading each and every line of NCERT. All the topics of NCERTs and all are not important. It is just to develop a foundation of the student. Then understanding the concept, then note making. Note making should be there, and this note making will be done in the class. Note making will be done in the class. It will be through flow chart, board work, through diagrams, through mind maps, whatever you say, mind maps, images, then maps, general maps, because history, to understand history, geographically you have to be very up to the mark. Geographical areas you should know, and that you should understand that, for example, if you are studying Carnatic war, you should know that where is Arcot. Arcot is the capital of Karnataka. You should know where Hyderabad is located. What is the location of Marathas? Where is Mysore located? If you are understanding the temple architecture of Odisha, you should know that, you know, this is Odishan style. This is Jaina architecture in Gujarat, in Rajasthan, for example. If you understand Dilwara temple, you should know where the Dilwara temple is located. Mount Abu is located. So geographically, I mean, through maps, history is very important. You should know, if you study First World War, you should know that what are the important powers What are triple alliance? What are triple entente? Triple alliance has Germany, Austria, Hungary, Italy. Triple entente is Britain, France, and Russia. Later US joined. So you should know the location. For example, if you study Strait of Hormuz, you should know that it connects the Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman. So without that, it is very difficult. So note making that is done in the class, it is the outcome of what is done: flowchart, boardwork, diagram, mind map, images, and maps. When I teach in the class, I always use map in the class for each and every topic, because through map the student understand and connects efficiently. So understanding the topic, note making, revision, 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 then multiple, at least 7 times revision is required. This is what I suggest, 6-7 times, because I have seen students that they study 1 or 2 times and they say, see, I have studied this book, I have studied this notes 1 time or twice, then they go and perform. To qualify the exam, you have to remember things. Without remembering, you cannot crack this exam. You cannot crack this exam. याद करना बहुत जरूरी है. That is very, very important. That is the key to success. Then answer writing. Answer writing. Answer writing. In the class we practice 100 question. 100 question we practice in the class only in modern India. Leave culture and then world history. If we calculate, it is over 180 question that we practice in history, in GS. So answer writing and then finally test. So what is my suggestion to the students? That you should study through question, which I call it reverse engineering. Through question, you should understand syllabus. For example, if I want to prepare for civil service, for at least 15-20 days, I'll be seeing only syllabus and the previous paper. Then I will buy a book. Then I will study the book. All these things we do in the class. We cover each and every question in the class. What is being done in the past and how to write a good answer rigorously. We practice. Let us take the next thing that I have to discuss here. So NCERTs. See, there is a very big misconception among the student that I place it in frequently asked questions that you, sir, from 6 to 12 standard we have to study about NCERT. New and old confusions. See, first of all, NCERT, I told you repeatedly, I am telling, this NCERT is not made for UPSC. We use it for UPSC. So all the things are not necessary or mandatory to study. Second thing is that NCERT from 6 to 12 standard, 6 से 12 तक जो है, new and old, both should be focused, old and new. But as far as old is concerned, 6th NCERT, for example, it is ancient India. I think Romila Thapar is the writer. 7th, medieval India. 8th, modern India. 9th, I think it is modern plus world. 10th, world. There are a few more things. 11th, ancient medieval. Ancient and medieval. Ancient for R.S. Sharma, medieval for Satish Chandra. 12th, again there are 2 books, ancient 2 books, sorry, 11th 2 books, ancient and medieval. 12th, that is modern and world. World for Arjun Dev is the writer for modern. Bipin Chandra, ancient India, R.S. Sharma, and medieval India, that is Satish Chandra. So they keep on asking me, I really get irritated that sir 6 से लेके 12, 6 से लेके 12 तक पढ़ना है. So then I say, if you are getting If you are getting 5G, why do you take 2G? This is 2G. If you are getting 5G here, why do you take 2G? If you are getting 5G here, upgraded technology, why do you take 2G here? So cancel, cancel, cancel. Again 2G, cancel. But here I will give you few more things. 9th and 12th, 10th NCERT. Few topics are there which is not present here. So pick up those topics, add here, and then Arjun Dev's, this will work as a 5G then. The topics we are missing here. Then ancient, medieval, modern world. So this confusion is a very big confusion. You don't have to read each and every word in every line, each and every page of NCERT. Then new NCERT, same with new NCERT. Same with new NCERT. You should go through. So we have a course also. I think NCERT we have a course. You can find there is a separate course of NCERT. But my objective is what you should use NCERT as an understanding, as to enrich your content, because that is the best source. Both the sources, new and old. But focus should be more on the old. You extract the facts from here also. Read them also. So that will build a safe foundation for you to, you know, to generate your preparation further. So this is all about NCERT. I think almost all the points I've discussed here.
Thank you, sir. That was very informative session. I have a few questions, though. Couple of questions. First, what you think that a student should stop doing while preparing for UPSC, especially for history subject?
Okay. See, your question is relevant. That what all things that the student should eliminate while their preparation of history.
Right.
See, already I've mentioned in the lecture that students should not understand that history is something that we studied which was present in the past. It is boring. You have to understand the events, and it should be studied on the basis of different schools of historiography, which is relevant for mains exam. We do here. And understanding the concept. For example, if we understand the concept of mercantilism, so mercantilism, if we understand as a concept, then there are mercantile policies which were, you know, based on taxation policies. There was reshuffling of the tariffs, and export was more than import. The balance of trade was in the favor of Britain, in case of Britain and America, because America was a colony. And then, you know, extracting raw material from the from America. It was done by the mother country, that is Britain. So America was a colony of British, and it was the mercantile policy that was imposed on America on 13 colonies by Britain. Britain was the mother country and America was a colony. So UPSC asked a question, I think in 2013, that American Revolution is an economic revolt against mercantile policy. That means mercantilism was a concept, and it was a policy, mercantile policy, which was mainly taxation policy, and other things were also involved. The dictation given by the mother country to the colony, and America was groomed on the lines of capitalism. So in America, big businessmen, corporate houses, they started contradicting or fighting against the mercantile policy, because it was mainly controlled by the state. Why this capitalism was contradicting? So for this, you have to understand what is mercantilism, what is industrial capitalism, what is finance imperialism. If you do not understand the concept that we explain in the class, and then on the basis of that explanation, the questions are based. This is the crux, that you have to understand history. You don't have to remember certain facts and figures. You don't have to do that. You have to understand it.
So the
Event
focus
wise, the
should be
focus,
on understanding the
conceptual
concepts.
understanding. For example, one more example I'll give you, ma'am. There is that way we study about temple architecture. So students generally study what is Nagar style of architecture, what is Dravid style of architecture, what is Vesar style of architecture. Students never focus what is the concept of temple architecture, why temple was constructed, what was the philosophy involved, what are the striking differences between Nagar style? What are the important examples of Nagar style of architecture, temple architecture? What are the important examples of Dravid style of temple architecture? They just memorize certain things.
Also, why only that style in that particular
Huh.
architecture? Right?
And in Nagar style also there are 4 schools, Odishan and Khajuraho and Rajasthani and Gujarati. There are striking difference between them. So you have to understand what is Kalash, what is Deol, what is Jagmohan, what is Bhog Mandir, what is Nat Mandir. You should know how a person is dedicated towards a particular thing.
Right.
How a person, see, temple architecture emanates from where? From Bhakti. From Bhakti, which was developed mainly in Gupta period, we see, and we see the various examples of temple architecture in Gupta period, and from there in the early medieval period we see the 4 schools of temple architecture. So this is very important. So
Right.
the perspective to understand history is not just following the past, it is to understand India.
To understand why something is happening.
Why something has happened,
Right.
because what has happened in the past is what we see in the present. To
Right.
understand present, I have to understand the past. For example, if I want to understand you or anyone, I have to look at the precedent, that what kind of person that he is. Just by interaction we cannot figure
What
out
kind of experiences shaped me the way I am today. Right. Absolutely.
So past is a teacher to present.
Also, you talked about practice sessions, questions. How important these evaluation sessions are according to you?
It is very important, but what I have seen that students, they do not understand the topic, they do not see the previous year's paper, they keep on hunting for test series, which is wrong. The best test series for the student is PYQ, previous year's paper, and not only of UPSC, which is not only the civil service exam, because UPSC conducts civil service, CDS, NDA, several other exams. So UPSC keeps on flipping the question from one exam to another. So they will just change the language and they will give the question. So you should know that the topic is conceptually cleared, and how to target the prelims and mains, how to connect prelims and mains, because sometimes you see prelims questions are asked in the main exam, sometimes mains question is asked in the prelims exam. Then connecting history with essay, connecting history with sociology, connecting history with the other modules of civil service, like international relation. For example, when we study world history, we understand contemporary world, Cold War, for example. Right. So interconnectedness, all these things are very relevant.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an enriching session. It was great to have you here.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
So, as sir told you that evaluation is absolutely important, but you should not be hunting for test series here and there. You can refer to PYQs, and as far as test series is concerned, in the same course that I told you about, we have test series as well. As you can see here, right here, we have mains test series and prelims test series. So we'll be providing you with prelims online test series, and the access will be there for 3 years, and there will be at least 30 tests each year. Similarly, there will be main test series as well. For 24 subject-wise mains test series will be given with thorough evaluation to you by the academic team, and you can also upload 2 answers daily for the daily answer evaluation. Up until now, you must have understood that this IAS GS Foundation course, classroom course, is going to be extremely beneficial to you all. And I would like to remind you once again that we have right now 50% flat sale going on until 16th of August if you enroll right now. At last, I would just like to tell you, you cannot build an All India rank on a shaky foundation. So build your foundation first and build it perfectly. If you're ready for your journey, your UPSC journey, come join us. We will make this process extremely easy, simple, and beneficial for you all. That's it for today's session. Thank you so much for joining in. Until next time, take care.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.